Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Nervos public town hall. Very excited to have Jan here, Chief Architect of Nervos. He's going to be running through the Nervos development roadmap for 2020 Q4. After he's finished his presentation, there'll be an open Q&A. So if you want to ask any questions that are related to the presentation, please ask in the YouTube chat. And we'll be asking those to Jan. We've also got Kevin, another co-founder from Nervos with us. So he'll also be here to answer any questions as well. As I mentioned, we'll prioritize any questions related to the presentation and the roadmap. And without further ado, I'll hand over to Jan for the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Hi, everyone. I'm Jan. And in this presentation, I'll mainly talk about the roadmap the core team is working on. There's also many things going on in the community, projects developed by community teams, but they are not included in this presentation. Okay. The agenda of this presentation includes these 4 parts: DeFi infrastructure research and at last interoperability 2.0. I'll explain later what it is. So the part 1 is DeFi. Okay, here's a rough hierarchy of our current DeFi ecosystem. So at the bottom layer is the token standards. That's what like ERC20, ERC721 on Ethereum. So with token standards, we can only with token standard we can build all those top layers. And on the second layer, the middle layer, we have assets and stable coins. Like we have USDT, USDC, right? And we have tokens issued by all kinds of projects. And then on the top layer, there's lending protocol, there's DEX. So with DEX, we can exchange assets with each other. And with lending protocol, we can stake some asset or deposit some asset to borrow another kind of asset out. And then there are Oracle services that is essential to all the protocols running on the middle layer and the top layer. So our roadmap is centered around this hierarchy. The first thing is UDT. So we are working on several things on this layer. UDT is the equivalent to ERC tokens on Ethereum. It's a abbreviation of user-defined tokens. So with UDT standards, anyone can issue new ecosystem compliant tokens on CKB. And those tokens can be integrated into all kinds of DeFi or CeFi applications. There are 3 UDT-related proposals published on Nervos Talk months ago, and 2 of them has been accepted and merged into Nervos RFC repository on GitHub, and will come to reality in Q4. The first of them is simple UDT, and the second is anyone can pay. Simple UDT is an extremely simple token standards with minimal interface and logic, compatible with all lock scripts. Anyone can pay is a lock script that allows an user to set up an Ethereum or EOS style account and use that to receive any UDT tokens. Remember, cell model in CKB is an abstract model, and we can implement either UTXO or account model on top of it. One difference between UDT and ERC tokens I want to point out is that the token standards on CKB is more than an interface definition. The ERC20 on Ethereum is a definition on the APIs or functions a user needs to call when he or she wants to issue or transfer tokens. The implementation of the interface is left to developers, right? In contrast, UDT standards are not only interfaces, we will also provide standard libraries implementing those standards. Those libraries will be audited by our security partners like Trail of Biz and Paxio, and can be reused in many different projects repeatedly. That means a developer don't need to implement and deploy the same UDT contract again and again, but simply use it. Of course, you can use you can also combine the library with your own code um, to get more features, or even copy the code and modify it, like what you can do on Ethereum. But in many cases, that's not needed. So that's SUDT and ACP. The third UDT standard, CKB NFT, non-fungible token, is still a draft, and we invite our community to join the discussion and share your opinions. The proposal is on Nervos Talk. Then for the second layer, the asset layer, we have two ways to create more assets on CKB, either by building more dApps to create more original assets, or building bridges to move assets from other blockchains to CKB. Currently, we are focusing on the second path, and 2CKB is such a bridge project. So 2CKB is a general asset bridge between CKB and all other blockchains. In Q4, we'll release the first version of 2CKB, with which anyone can stake CK bytes to become a signer to move assets between CKB and other blockchains. For example, move BTC between Bitcoin and CKB, or move ETH between Ethereum and CKB back and forth. In the first version, the signer role is required to move assets back to the original blockchain, because some blockchains like Bitcoin has only limited programming ability, and it cannot understand the proof generated by CKB. In future versions, we will make 2CKB more decentralized and trustless to avoid the signer role when possible, such as in the bridge between Ethereum and CKB. There are other projects also working on bridges right now. The advantage of CKB in this cross-chain transaction scenario lies in its flexible crypto primitive support. As we know, the key to cross-chain transaction is the ability to verify something happens on the source blockchain, on the other blockchain, like verifying the source chain headers and transaction inclusion. In order to do that, the verifier smart contract on destination blockchain must have access to appropriate crypto primitives. For example, if a destination blockchain wants to verify an event happen on Ethereum blockchain, it must have access to Cash hash function, right? If it also wants to verify a transaction from Zcash, it must have access to Blake2B hash function. So the more blockchain you want to bridge, the more crypto primitives you need to support. And that's exactly what CKB does better than any other blockchains. And that's why it's possible to build such a general bridge framework on CKB. 2CKB is still in active development and changing rapidly, but the code is already open source on GitHub, and there is a thread on Nervos Talk. So I also want to invite our community to join the discussion and development there to help us find bugs and make it better, and to become a relayer after its launch. That's the second layer. Then on the top layer, there's DAX, right? There's DAX and lending protocols. But right now we are focusing on DAX protocols. We are working on two DAX protocols simultaneously: an automated market maker protocol and an order book DAX protocol. The DAX protocols will be interesting examples to show how to combine on-chain transactions and off-chain computation in Nervos, as DAX is a fairly complex scenario involving like shared state and sequence computation, right? So CKB is a verification platform rather than a computation platform, and such a feature makes off-chain transaction necessary in many scenarios. For example, that makes some DEX design, like Ether Delta, difficult to implement on CKB, while some other DEX designs, like 0x, more easier on CKB. So CKB is quite opinioned, and it favors those off-chain protocols. The benefit is DEX on CKB will be more scalable. So the two DEX protocols we are working on are both off-chain protocols in some sense, or layer 2 protocols in some sense. Our goal is to release 2 production-ready DEX template projects in Q4 as free tools for anyone to use. Anyone will be able to set up a DEX with the DEX template or build more feature-rich DEX based on the template projects. I hope the DEX projects will reduce the development barrier further, demonstrate some useful design patterns, and facilitate the progress of DeFi on Nervos. And we are also working with some partners to build oracles on CKB. So we are working on a Coinbase price oracle, which will verify the signature provided by Coinbase. And so we'll fetch data from Coinbase APIs and verify the signature, so you can trust the data is really from Coinbase. And we're working with Chainlink and Band protocols to use their technology to build oracles on CKB. So in general, this is a recap. So we're working on these 5 areas on all 3 layers, okay? And these are the DeFi services and projects we will see on Nervos by the end of this year. They're not ready today, unfortunately, because like we are not trying to like chase some DeFi whirlwind, right? But this is the natural consequence of the maturing of tooling and infrastructure, almost 1 year after mainnet launch. We should also notice these projects are code templates and tools that helps the community to build DeFi. They are fishing nets, not fish. I believe avoid doing everything by core team is the right way to build a open and prosperous ecosystem in long term. And we genuinely invite the community to try and use the tools to modify it, to improve it. So happy fishing on DeFi. The second large part is infrastructure. So we are working on hardware wallet support right now. And this is a feature asked by our community for a long time. And we have granted a team to working on the ledger integration with CKB wallet for months. The current progress is we can do it on CKB client. And the Neuron team is working on the integration with ledger wallet support right now. So I think we will see hardware wallet support in Neuron in Q4 very soon. And then we are also working on developer tools. I think most developers are already familiar with CKB Studio IDE, right? There will be more features added to the IDE in Q4, like syntax highlight, autocomplete, Lumos, and capsule integration. Lumos is the tool we built to help you index data stored on CKB and to do more powerful queries to CKB. And capsule is the framework, allows you to write smart contract in Rust and test those smart contracts on CKB. So it's like the counterparty to Truffle on Ethereum. And there will be a cloud version of CKB Studio and like beta signer. And the second tool we are working on right now is Polyjuice. So Ethereum has the largest blockchain developer community today, right? There are many developers who are familiar with EVM and Solidity, even though Solidity has clear limitations when compared to languages like Rust and TypeScript. There are also extensive dev tools built around EVM and Solidity. On the other hand, CKB uses a RISC-V compatible virtual machine and a different state model. Even though on CKB, developers can use can use traditional languages such as Rust, TypeScript, and C. So CKB is more friendly to non-blockchain developers, to developers who are entering this space. We also recognize the need of Ethereum developers and are constantly looking for the ways to lower their transaction cost. That's why we create Polyjuice. So Polyjuice is an Ethereum compatible layer running on top of CKB. Any Ethereum dApp can be deployed on Polyjuice. When a user interacts with the dApp, Polyjuice will execute the user transaction and generate the new state off-chain, then publish the new state on CKB chain. Polyjuice also deploys an EVM on CKB, so the new state transition will be verified and accepted only if it's valid. Each user account is hosted in a cell on CKB chain. A user using Polyjuice is like using a stateless Ethereum client in Nervos network. The work is still in progress, but we have successfully migrated ENS, the Ethereum naming service on Ethereum, to Polyjuice without problem. Both Polyjuice and the ENS example has been released on GitHub, and if you are interested, you can start playing with it today. In Q4, we'll finish the tasks left and make it more easier to migrate DeFi applications to CKB. Then we are also working on developer experience. We will create Nervos dApp example apps and work through, and we will build developer learning roadmap and lessons. So to help new developers to learn how to build a dApp on Nervos step by step. And we are keep improving our documentation. The next improvement in infrastructure is Light Client protocol. Light Client is a CKB client that can do almost everything a full node can do, but uses much less resources like bandwidth and disk. CKB is Light Client friendly because all smart contract state are included in blocks. And the synchronization of blocks and transaction is also the synchronization of states. There's no need for additional computation or state synchronization protocol as in Ethereum, which means a CKB Light Client will have more data, will have more full nodes to query from. A Light Client will connect to full nodes in network and ask data from them. A Light Client can verify the data given by full node or by itself. Light Client is a key step to accessibility. It will make Nervos more accessible to users. Today, you need to run a full node to access dApps on Nervos in a trustless way. But in future, we'll be able to use Nervos dApps with Light Client in browsers or in software extensions, in mobile apps, or even on IoT devices. Light Client protocol is also a key ingredient for the interoperability or cross-chain protocols between CKB and other blockchains. We have been working on Light Client protocol for a while. In Q4, we'll release a prototype that everyone can play with, including a demo for both laptop and mobile phones. So please stay tuned. And layer 2, right? As we know, Nervos is a layer network, and CKB is the layer 1 blockchain and the beginning of all this, beginning of everything. but more functions will rely on off-chain protocols, including layer 1.5 and layer 2 protocols. There are a variety of layer 2 protocols today, and many of them are still ideas of research topics with problems waiting to be solved. Some layer 2 protocols are more practical than others, and we're working on 2 of such protocols, payment channel and rollup. I published the design of generalized payment channel on Nervos Talk months ago. I have discussed the idea with several people, and it seems the idea is simple enough and worth to see how it works in real world. Since then, we put a research developer working on the prototype of GPC. The work goes well, and we are going to release it in Q4. With the prototype, we can test different application ideas, like combine it with upcoming stablecoins to form a stablecoin channel. Then combine the stablecoin channel with Twitter to create like paid advertisement robot account, etc., etc. Right? And we'll also try to combine the GPC prototype with our light client prototype to see how they fit together. The most interesting feature of GPC is its isomorphism to CKB, that a smart contract written for CKB like SUDT can be run in GPC without modification. There are people sometimes ask if layer 2 protocols are so powerful, why we haven't seen their prospect used everywhere, right? I believe the disparity between layer 1 and layer 2 is one of the reasons. It's much more easier to create a layer 1 application than a layer 2 app. But GPC and the unified programming model, which I will mention later, is our attempt to solve this problem. The other project, Got Woken, is a rollup framework on CKB. Rollup is a layer 2 protocol who use layer 1 as data availability engine to avoid many obstacles in protocols like Plasma. It trades scalability for security and simplicity. It's a practical solution today. Optimistic rollup and CK rollup are two variations of rollup, and Got Woken will support both of them. That's why it's a framework. In Q4, we'll focus on optimistic rollup first, release a optimistic rollup template so users can tweak the template to fit their own needs. That's the roadmap for layer 2. That's the second part, infrastructure. The third part is research. I'll give you a very quick glance over the research topics we are working on right now. So the first is Fly Client on CKB. There is a talk there's a post on Noah's talk, like discussing the how to implement Fly Client on CKB. So it's a quite complicated subject. Fly Client is a fast synchronization protocol for light client. So it can help CKB light client to synchronize with other nodes even more faster. For example, with our light client prototype right now, you may need like 1 hour or 2 hours to synchronize the blockchain. But with Fly Client, if Fly Client is deployed, you may need only like 5 minutes to synchronize with CKB blockchain, to synchronize with 4 nodes in the network. So it's super cool. And we are also working on the RISC-V B and V extensions to CKB VM. So B for bit operations, V for vector operations. B and V extensions are very useful to crypto primitives because they are used extensively in cryptography. So with those extensions, CKB VM will be more efficiently for in cryptographic scenarios. And the third is a new smart contract language So although now we can use all kinds of like programming language on CKB to write smart contract, but we are also exploring the possibility that if we need a new smart contract language that is specifically designed for the CKB program model, the research has just begun. I guess we will not see any result this year, but there's this this is a very long long-term research project. I think we will see something in 2021. Okay. And then it's Mimblewimble on CKB. And we are working on this with Green community, with researchers from Green team. So Mimblewimble on CKB will provide privacy feature to CKB. So users can use privacy coins on CKB without leaking the sender information, the recipient, the amount of transfer, etc. I think in Q4 we will see a proposal design for Mimblewimble on CKB. And then because we are working on rollup, so we are also collaborate with SegBit team on ZK rollup. And the last one is unified program model. So unified program model, yeah. So we are trying to design a unified program model for this layered network. The goal is to use the same program model for different layer 1 and layer 2 protocols. For example, a smart contract written in this model should be able to run at different places, no matter it's on CKB, the layer 1, or on Godwoken, the rollup, or on sidechain on layer 2, like on Exxon. And a transaction to call that smart contract should be acceptable by all those protocols, and leave it to user to decide where should the transaction go. So the user can choose to send it on layer 1 or send it on layer 2. So take the general payment channel research as an example, in which the same TypeScript, right, can be run on either CKB, the layer 1, or in GPC channel, the layer 2. Unified program model is more than that. The research is still in early stage, and we are still exploring all kinds of possibilities. Like maybe we can create a unified account model across those layers, right? So this is a quick glance over the research topics. At last, I want to talk a little bit about interoperability 2.0. So we have seen how blockchains can interact with each other, right? Either through trusted authority or by lifetime verification, which is completely trustless, or using a solution somewhere between. There are many blockchain projects working on interoperability or cross-chain protocols. However, all those solutions are focusing on the developer side of the story, but overlook user experience. For example, if a Bitcoin user want to move his BTC from Bitcoin to Ethereum and stake it in Ethereum DeFi service, he'll need to use two completely different wallets. First the Bitcoin wallet, then the Ethereum wallet. He'll need to learn the basic knowledge of two completely different blockchains, different protocols. If we use the internet as an analogy, it's like there's a TCP explorer that only works with TCP transmission protocol and a UDP explorer that only works with UDP transmission protocol. And the websites on internet are split into two categories. Those run on those run on TCP protocol and those run on UDP protocol. Every time a user wants to visit a website, he is required to use the appropriate browser. Otherwise, the website won't load. To access the services on internet, the user has to install many explorers and switch back and forth between them. It's obvious the user experience is terrible in such a parallel universe, right? And that's not how things work in real world. Actually, one of the reasons we believe in layered architecture is because we believe the crypto network should be like the internet. In our vision, users don't need to care which concrete protocol they are using. When we open a web page or receive an email, we never think which internet protocol, like TCP or UDP or IMAP, should we use. You never heard of them. All the details are for developers and all the details are hidden from users. So why would crypto users care which blockchain protocol they are interacting with, right? They don't need to. They only need to care about assets. That's where Nervos can do better. So with the previous work I introduced, with more and more tools and protocols emerges in Q4, the jigsaw pieces of Nervos network are starting to come together. Today we have like PW Lock, which is a community grants project that implementing lock scripts compatible with other blockchains. With PW Lock's SDK, a user can choose to keep his assets on CKB in Bitcoin or Ethereum address and use Bitcoin or Ethereum wallet to operate those assets. It's kind of like magic, right? A developer can use PW Lock SDK to make his Nervos app accessible to Bitcoin or Ethereum or EOS users. So that's the first jigsaw piece. Today, we also have UDT and 2CKB, a token standards to create synergy between Nervos applications and a general asset bridge that allows us to move assets between CKB and other blockchains. So Bitcoin and Ether and ERC20 tokens can be moved onto CKB, and we can build compatible layer such as Polyjuice. So dApps on Ethereum can be migrated and working with mapping assets on CKB. So we have 4 pieces here. And what do we get by combining them? Interoperability 2.0. This is what we can get. So the picture here is a huge crypto network with Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, and other blockchains. Each blockchain has its own wallets and users. On the top are users and wallets. At the bottom are different blockchains, or we can call them the issuance blockchains. All kinds of crypto assets are issued on them. Let's take Bitcoin, for example. With 2CKB or other bridges, we can move BTC from Bitcoin blockchain to CKB to Nervos network. This step can be completed by using a Bitcoin wallet. So the key is the user only needs to use a Bitcoin wallet. It's not using a Nervos wallet or CKB wallet. After the asset has been moved to CKB blockchain, the wrapped BTC can be stored in a Bitcoin address and controlled by a Bitcoin wallet. But the wrapped BTC is stored on CKB. Then the user can put wrapped Bitcoin in all kinds of DeFi services as he wish, use it to stake or exchange with other assets on CKB. And these operations can also be completed in a Bitcoin wallet. And anytime he can move the wrapped BTC back to Bitcoin wallet, to Bitcoin blockchain, and this step still can be completed in his Bitcoin wallet. The same flow applies to Ethereum, EOS, and other blockchains. The important thing here is in this flow, a user only needs to use one wallet, which is the one he originally uses. From the user's point of view, try to imagine that. He is using a Bitcoin wallet and operating on his Bitcoin asset. He thinks he never leaves the Bitcoin network. However, in fact, he is interacting with Nervos network under the hood. This is actually how internet works. And this is how internet becomes internet. In this network, we make wallets like web browsers. No matter which browser or wallet a user uses, he or she can access the whole crypto network. There's no migration cost and complexities hidden behind the scenes. This is what I call Interoperability 2.0, in which Nervos protocols helps different blockchain networks merge into a single large crypto network. The most cool part is that it requires end users do nothing. There's a lot of work to be done here, and all this is just beginning. But all of these are completely feasible and only possible in Nervos network, thanks to the unique features of CKB. I believe its realization is just a matter of time because we have the best research and engineering team and the most supportive and patient community behind us. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. That was super interesting, right? I think the interoperability 2.0, I think is something that's definitely, getting a lot of discussion and buzz in the community. So I think everyone's very excited about that. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. We're going to move on to the Q&A now. We have a lot of questions across a lot of different channels. So there's questions that have come through via Bilibili, through the YouTube chat, also through WeChat and also some on Twitter as well. So we're going to try and get through as many questions as possible. As mentioned, we're going to prioritize questions that are more related to this presentation specifically. If you are watching the video after the event, so the recorded version, then of course you can always join our Telegram channel, our Discord, our Twitter, and ask your questions there, and we'll also try and answer those at any time. And then just the final point that Jan went through a lot of information there. There's a ton of stuff to digest. And of course, what we're going to be doing is breaking out a lot of these content pieces and trying to do more deep dives into specific areas to give you guys a better picture and more information around all these different topics that Jan's talked through today. We also have Kevin on the call, so I'll be asking the questions, and Jan or Kevin, you're either of you guys or both of you guys welcome to take an answer. So I think we'll start with the first question, which came through Twitter, and they ask, it looks like there was work in the past month put into the Rosetta SDK for the Rosetta API. Is this in collaboration with Coinbase? And if so, what does the roadmap look like with Rosetta? I'm not sure if that's the best question for Kevin or Jan or either of you guys, if you want to answer that.
Yeah, Kevin, please.
Yeah, so I think the simple answer is yes, and it's to a point that's quite complete. Just put it that way.
Great. The next question that we have from the YouTube chat from Jonathan, he asks, where is there more information about optimistic rollups on CKB? So if someone wants to learn more about that, where's the best place to go?
I think currently you can check the, oh, sorry, I forget to put the GitHub link. So there is a GitHub repo of Gold Vulcan. And I think, yeah, how can we give the link to Jonathan? It's already open source.
Yeah, we'll share it with them after the presentation.
Yeah,
okay, great.
Yeah, and you're welcome to join the Discord channel to ask questions. We have developers lurking there.
Yeah, no, I think there's a specific channel set up for that as well. So you can jump onto our Discord and join those community developer channels that are specific for different areas of the development going on as well. The Roth asks, is the Nervos team working on cross-chain swaps, ERC20 to Binance chain and or Binance Smart Chain?
I don't think so. So we are working on 2CKB. 2CKB is a general bridge. So by general, I mean 2CKB can work between like CKB and any other blockchain. So it's totally possible that you use 2CKB to build a bridge between CKB and Binance chain. Yeah. But we are not working specifically on like CKB and Binance.
Yeah, and I think it touches to your point around the interoperability 2.0, right? Which is more about creating this thing that potentially will be universal and can interact with every chain, right? Yeah. A question we had from Telegram was, how will AMMs work better than AMMs built on Ethereum? I know you touched on that very briefly at the beginning, Jan.
Yeah, so the functionality is almost the same, right? They are both the AMM, but AMM on CKB is different in the architecture, in the design from the one in Ethereum, because the best way to implement AMM is to combine on-chain smart contract with off-chain protocols, because there is a shared state in AMM. So it will be a bit more complex than AMM on Ethereum, but it will also be more scalable than Ethereum AMM. But to user, it's the same.
Got it.
Yeah, I just want to extend a little bit, right? And this is not just about AMMs, and this is going to be any type of application developed on Nervos. And then the difference between, the amount Nervos versus the amount Ethereum and other blockchains is that for Nervos, we're a layered approach. And then the way we look at these layers, they are very fluent, right? So whether application runs on layer 1, layer 2, a state channel, a side chain, or even, we talk about, these with the bridge and the other blockchain, for developers, it's not so much different, right? So which means the same AMM exchange, for example, it really depends on the scenario when you need to use the exchange, right? If you want, fast finality, if you want, really super cheaper transaction fees, it might make sense to run on layer 2, right? So if you need to have something that composed in the payment channel, between like peer-to-peer transactions, then you can run it on the channel network. And then it just, you have way more puzzle pieces as a developer at your disposal when you want these transactions or applications to run. Yeah, so that's sort of the unified programming model, and also the seamless, the layered architecture that we're building.
Yeah, I think it really touches on the flexibility, right, of the development on Nervos as well. Okay, another question from Telegram was, will stablecoin support be from existing ecosystems or new stablecoin solutions?
What's the context? I mean, obviously there will be both.
Okay, so I mean, I think that's what they're asking, and I think the answer you're saying is we'll be providing both, right?
Yeah, I mean, for stablecoins, if you think about stablecoins or what people class as stablecoins, right? So you have these sort of DAI style collateralized debt positions. It's basically debt against a collateralized assets, and then you have sort of fiat, collateralized USDT, USDC, and other types. And then there's some new novel stablecoins projects recently as well. So yeah, I mean, we definitely want to create the diversity of the stablecoin ecosystem there was as well. And then yeah, so we expect there will be multiple of them coming up.
Right. One more question from Telegram, maybe for Jan. They are asking about the layer 2 payment channels. They ask, what does this mean in more detail? What Nervos will achieve with this, and how will it differentiate from other blockchain solutions?
We can do a lot of things with payment channel and payment channel networks. So currently we're working on the first step, that is to build a payment channel between two users. And in future, we'll also try to like devise routing protocols and connecting protocols to connect those channels. So with payment channel network, what you can do is like, you can do fast, high frequency, low latency payment between any two users in the world, on the earth. And because the scalability of payment channel network is unlimited, it can also be used for IoT network. If you imagine like in future, when we have all like billions of IoT devices, and when we want to connect those IoT devices into a network and want to transfer value between those IoT devices, I think payment channel network may be the only answer to that, because at that time we are talking about like billions of transactions per second. It's not like we have like 10,000 transactions per second is enough. That's only enough for like people, human beings living on Earth, but that's not enough if we have machines join the network. So payment channel network is like more future-proof in that sense. And payment channel network is also very important to complete the design of internet, because the internet has no value transfer layer right now, right? Like if we want to subscribe to a streaming service, if we want to subscribe to YouTube, for example, I'd have to register a YouTube account before, and I have to deposit, I have to pay YouTube before I watch the videos, right? But if we have payment channel network, I can pay as I watch. You don't even need to register the account, because what you need to do is to build a connection, build a payment channel between you and YouTube, and you start watch the premium videos, the streaming of data. So YouTube can stream the data to you, and you pay YouTube at the same time. It's completely different from the paid web service we see today. So IoT and internet, that's what like payment channel network can make it much more better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a great answer. Okay, some slightly more kind of big picture general ones here for you guys to answer and discuss. There's one question I think came in through WeChat, and they ask, how do you guys think of the statement, there will only be 2 or 3 public blockchains left in the future? And if true, will CKB be one of them?
Yeah, first, I don't agree with that statement. I think there will be many blockchains in future, because value or assets are scattered around the world, and there will be many blockchains to issue those assets. But there will be maybe 1 or 2 blockchains that will become the store of all those assets. So like in this graph, in this interoperability 2.0 graph, right? So there will be a blockchain that is the store of all those assets, and users are operating those assets using services on a single blockchain, on the store of value blockchain. And I believe CKB has the potential to to become that blockchain. Yeah.
Another question we have, I believe came through on WeChat, was it seems that there is little noise of Nervos on DeFi in the space. What do you think about DeFi, and is it a little bit late to catch up now?
So do you want me to answer? So in my opinion, DeFi is a long-term trend. So there's never like too late to catch up.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to how do you define the DeFi, right? And if we're talking about decentralized finance, I think that, you know, can be defined in a very broad context, right? And I think, you know, what you've talked about in the presentation is all very related to the future of DeFi, right? So, Kevin, I don't know if you had any comment on that question.
Yeah, and this is, you know, something I feel very strongly too. I think, you know, I think we are practitioners, right? And then when we talk about we, as in at least the team behind Nervos, we're practitioners. And then, you know, we have very strong faith in blockchain technology in general. And then, you know, we want to see this technology can, you know, bring, you know, absolutely radical change to the world, just like internet did. So right now, I mean, we're still, I mean, sometimes I know the crypto space runs on light speed, and then, you know, 1 month seems like forever, a lifetime, right? So especially we look at, you know, prices going up and down, like within 1 or 2 months, we've got a bull market and then a bear market and a bull market again. So sometimes it's easy to forget about the big context. I mean, if blockchain really is going to bring that much change, I mean, this is going to be a multi-decade transformation to the way that we live, the way that we collaborate, and then, you know, the way we conduct business and so on. So there's, you know, if you put that into the context, I mean, it's really, I mean, I wouldn't even say internet is too late, right? So internet itself is still very, very young. I mean, there's still many ways type of application can be built, and letting alone blockchain. Yeah, so yeah, I think, again, this is probably a generation or like once a generation sort of paradigm shift in terms of technological landscape. So yeah, so, you know, we definitely have the long-term view. And you know, we realize that it is important that you know, we build infrastructure and then to, you know, bring the type of applications. But on the other hand, you know, let's talk about 10 years and then what DeFi will feel like then. And we definitely feel that we have our own point of view, how the right infrastructure for that should be, and then we're building it.
Yeah, internet is young and is still waiting for payment channel network.
Great. Okay, another question, I think it might have come through Discord, and they ask, what trade-offs should we be considering when choosing between various scaling strategies during dApp development, such as Godwoken versus GPC versus Open Transaction, OpenTX?
Yeah, yeah. So that's a big question. So those layer 2, those scalability protocols have different features. They are good at different things. So for example, for channels, they have very low latency. So that's very cool for, like, if you want to build a blockchain game, right? Usually games ask for low latency. But the problem with channels is that you need to stake tokens beforehand to build channel. That's not friendly to users. So that's the trade-off you need to make. Or you can use rollup, but rollup is very practical. It's almost as secure as layer 1 blockchain, but its scalability is limited. Or you can use sidechains. Then you are basically make the assumption that, like, no more than 1/3 of the validators on the sidechain are adversaries. So it's a bit complex, but for today, for scenarios today, I would recommend you to consider rollups first. Then, if rollup doesn't meet your special scenario, then you can go for like channels or side chains. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a great answer. Hopefully that was very useful. Okay, I think we just got time for one more question, and the question is the goal to include Mimblewimble as a general feature of SUDT token transfers?
Kind of. So SUDT is simple UDT, so it includes no extra features. But the goal is, but the goal of Mimblewimble on CKB is to make it compatible with SUDT standards. So any SUDT token can be converted into a privacy token. So we want to make privacy a feature on CKB. Yeah, and make it compatible with all other standards protocols. Yeah.
I think the privacy area is something people are very excited about as well, right? So I think that's good to know. Okay, well that's all the time we have, unfortunately. I know there was a few questions that didn't get answered, but we'll do our best to answer those questions in the social groups. If you're watching the video recorded, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and head over to Twitter or Telegram or our Discord to ask any questions you guys have around this. As we mentioned at the beginning, we'll be putting a lot more content out to kind of do deep dives into certain areas of this. And you can always sign up to our mailing list on nervos.org as well. So I want to thank everyone who joined the live stream, and a big thanks to Jan and Kevin for jumping on the call and answering all your questions as well.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.